this. Okay. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So I'm excited to welcome you to today's Tech Day, where we'll be diving into an incredibly timely and impactful topic, revolutionizing data science, the role of Gen AI. As we all know, data science has already transformed the way we approach problems across industries, from healthcare to finance, from marketing to logistics. But as technology continues to evolve, so do the tools and techniques that power data science. And that's where Gen AI or generative AI comes in. Gen AI is not just a buzzword, it's an exciting frontier that's opening up new possibilities, especially in the realms of automation, predictive modeling, and personalized data solutions. It's changing the way we approach data creation, analysis, and decision making, providing opportunities to unlock insights that were once unimaginable. So today, we're going to explore how generative AI can reshape the field, its applications in data science, and the future potential of combining AI-driven models with traditional data science techniques. So we're going to have two speakers. We're going to have Rishikesh Jagdale, who's a data scientist at Bincom. And then next up, we'll have Urs Mubarak, who's a researcher at the University of Brighton. Okay, so I'll stop sharing, if I can stop sharing. Yeah. Okay, next. So that's Rishikesh.
Yeah, okay. I will share the screen. I can share my screen. So can you give access to like?
Yeah, so I've done that. Yeah, please you turn on your camera. You should.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Hello. Can you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. So good afternoon, team. Like today we are going to explain about the revolutionizing data science, the role of generative AI. So like first things, so what is the generative AI? And today we are explaining about how it's useful the like data science and how gonna we will use it and what's the benefit of the Gen AI. The first of all, the generative AI, like the ChatGPT, the Gemini, these are the things rising nowadays. And recent things we got like DeepSeek as well. So what the generative does it it accept multiple data like text, images, and other format as well, and it's provide the response based on that. So basically, like it's just type of data, and it will be generate the response according to that. So now,
Yeah, please, sorry to interrupt. Please, can you
yeah,
turn on your camera? We need to see you.
yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah,
Just a minute.
thank you.
Oh, is the option for that?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fine, right?
Yes, yes, it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to explain, yeah. So now, if you think about like ChatGPT, Gemini, like if you provide any text, you will give the response in a second. And why it's related to the data science today? Because you see if suppose we have to do any prediction app or something, a little bit coding with the Python, so we can just write the prompt based on that through Gemini or ChatGPT. It will give the response in the couple of seconds or couple of minutes within the all the code and everything. So it's help in data science, if suppose you know basic things related to data science, how to do the Python code, and how to debug the code, then you can easily interact with the generative AI and get the code, and you can develop your small kind of applications. And next, so the traditional data science flow. So we have to collect the data cleaning, EDA, data explore analysis, future engineering, model selection. So these are the basic steps for the data science workflow. But if you go to the ChatGPT, and suppose you have to develop one production application, so and you can see some sample data in the Kaggle. So you just provide the Kaggle link and prompt to create the this prediction app. So it will be gives us a certain tips and things in ChatGPT to develop this kind of application. So for that, basic stuffs like data science, how it works, how data will be collected, how the data will be cleaning, the Python coding and the basic stuffs. So how to do the means get the data with the pandas, how to data frame with the different things using Python libraries, like how to use Python different libraries, kind of like NumPy, and some of the uh, Python libraries is for the displaying the what the inside in data. So we have the plotly, Seaborns, Matplotlib. So these are the library. You know the basic things to how to interact with the generative AI. So if you knew the basic things, so you can learn more things and make some advanced kind of application with the AI. So these are the data science workflow. So next, so how can we integrate with this workflow with this generative AI or LLM large model? So if you search some of the things with the ChatGPT or Gemini, they will provide the API integration as well. So we have some kind of API with the help of Python, or if you're familiar with the other languages as well. So you can just grab this API key and integrate your code, and just write your application, or the make some prediction on the data for the generative AI. And then based on that, you can create the applications and write some prompt kind of applications and make develop the model. And then after that, you can just write the put the things to the LLM, and he gives the response. So now the based on that, you see that some of the times ChatGPT gives the response the based on the data, because the data is just for the synthetics. They can replace the data, and sometimes it gives the repetitions because he has data and he's generated for the some limitations. So sometimes he can't give full things, but basic things, and base for the every languages for the data science, then you can easily communicate the generative AI and make the applications. So it's it can give the multiple things, like how to generate the codes, the pipelines, the basic things. But the base and the things how it works, then it's very useful for you to make generate code through the this kind of applications, or tools, ChatGPT, Gemini. So now we can have some key application with generative AI with the data science. So I told you like it gives like multimodal data like images, text, and audio, and like synthetic data as well, the data permissions. But they have some limited because the data might be repetitions because they will use the repeated data. And the prompt based on the AD and visualizations means like suppose like you have to generate some kind of application. Like suppose I have to do some like sentiment analysis like on the Twitter data or some kind of data. You can find the data easily in the Kaggle and the publicly available websites. And you just go to the ChatGPT and write the prompt, develop this kind of sentiment analysis. So based on the data, he gives a certain tips and certain coding, and we have like the certain tips of the code, and then you can go to the like any Jupyter, PyCharm, any of the library, and test it. But before that, like you have to uh, know the proper like things like the basic things, not need to more like how like the sentiment analysis will work, how the like data science libraries like pandas, numpy, how to read the data from the like CVC, Excel, this kind of things. If you know, then you can easily interact with the generative AI and make some small kind of applications, and as well and enhance your programming knowledge as well, and EML things as well. And it will create the whole things like if you are the primary of the GitHub and some ML kind of application, then it will create this kind of things. But they have certain limitations, and you can provide a certain text. We can't provide like whole documentation to the ChatGPT prompt and get it all the things. It's not like that. You have to provide like limited prompt, and it will give the proper response. Then you have to know that like how can combine all these things and make all whole application together. So these are the things like we can do with the generative AI. So next, like case studies and tool. Basically, I already told you like about like if you're working with the like Python and for the data analysis, so you should know about like Python coding stuff, basic things. And if suppose you do some like application with that, then you should like tackle all the errors, because this generative AI can make the mistakes. So you can't give like full run the code. So you have to know figure out that like how can I refactor the error, and how can I check the how can I like increase my debugging skill as well, and how to like make the application with the help of chat GPT. So with the basic things of knowledge you should have. And then so like yeah, so basically you have to like increase your like prompt kind of things. Like yeah, you should know like that how can I, which kind of prompt I have to use that to get the like the actual kind of things. If suppose like you are using the simple things, then he might be use the repeated things every time, and you will be like disappointed with this, and you can't be run the proper things. But you should have to like learn more things about the chat GPT. If suppose you don't know, you face some challenges, and you have some error, then you have to go to the chat GPT, and based on that you have to write the prompt, and you will get the proper things, how you got the error. But you have to go to in the depth, like how I got the error and how can I solve it. Just like put the error and paste it in chat GPT and get anything done. It's not like that. But you have to go in the deeper side, and try to understand that what, like how I got the error, and how can I fix it by manually before going to ChatGPT. And then you can get the help of the generative AI, and then then it will be helpful for everyone to like interact with this kind of things. So now like what's the benefit of like it gives like the more like benefit if you have no uh things to how things work with the like technical side as well. And like the basically you suppose you're making some application, so you have to understand like the some business logic as well. So if you're interactive with generative AI, so it help with like making some documentations. So they will give some mm, uh, tools to like organizing with your coding techniques and knowledge, but to like have some basic kind of things like the programming, or suppose like if you're making applications, to like some of the like development style as well. Like if suppose you're working with the code, so like the how the GitHub is working, how the uh, code and the branches will be merged, and all these kind of things you should know before like interactive with the this kind of stuff. And when you was talking about the like data science and the generative AI, so you suppose we have to like some scalability if you're working with the data, because generative AI, it's not giving the code the same time and same repeated things. So that time you have to understand that like you have to learn more behind of that, and then after that you can use these things and enhance your programmatic logic and all the documentation with the help of the Gen AI. So now, so you see like the so a lot of challenges and ethical concerns about that, because I already told that the data we have in ChatGPT, it might be like error. It can't give like every time like actual output. It will be like gives the same things and same output sometimes. It's not be like real time and how we are using in production, but we have to like do some like research about that, and do the proper study before like using this kind of things. Because if you're working with the person kind of data or some like sensitive data, so you have to like make some like some before that we have to some like ethical concern to use the chat gpt. Because if you're using like your personal data, it might be like they will store somewhere, and they have use it some other purpose. So for that you have to use some like uh what we can tell about that, like so then after that like so if you're talking about the challenges, uh, then if suppose like you if you generate some kind of prompt with the chat gpt, and like basically for the production applications and all these things, it gives like some kind of results also. But it's if you run the application, that actual results are different. It's not might be give the like that 60% or 50% accuracy as well. So in this type of scenario, you have to like know like how can I rectify the error with the your own, instead of the like whole things whole like uh, fully dependent with the this genetic kind of things. Because it's kind of challenge you have to face, like if you put whole things in this kind of means full application you have to generate in this kind of chat gpt things. But in your how to make some so now like if you're talking about the like future outlook, so like see like how generative powered for the data science assistants, and like if you know about the like explainable ai. So there are some challenges, and if you're working with the like generative ai api, they have some like more version also, but we have to pay for that. But it gives like more reliability and more the data. So you have to work on that. But if you're working with like multimodal data, suppose we have to work on like mental health and other kind of data. So for that, like if you are doing some multimodal applications and integrated with like some model like ML model like a regression and a classification model with the data, so then like if you do this kind of applications with the chat gpt, but in the smaller scales you can get the results easily. But with the in a higher or future outlook, it might be difficult to like to communicate with the like a larger or a complex problem with this kind of generative AI. So because if you put the like a larger or complex problem with that, it can't give like the proper assistance and proper output for that. For that we have to like and not to depend like this kind of things. But if you have like beginner or intermediate, or you know like things how to like doing your stuff with your own, then you can definitely get the help with this AI, and you can generate a small scale of application with like better performance as well. So after that, so in conclusion, like the generative AI is like reshaping data and faster matter, and it gives the performance is better as compared to like any of the human. Like if suppose you want to generate some kind of documentation with the for your application, it will be generated within the second. So it will give the response within seconds, but it might be some um, repeated task in the that documentation, but it will be valid through like if you know how things are going to the particular for the applications. So how's the opportunity is behind the product ethical and the whole side the crucial data. It should be like it's not be like a overall data, but it gives the like hallucinations, means like repeated things, and the best from that you have to like overcome this problem with the like changing the prompt and gives the like train the model with a different kind of data sets, not the like same data. And if you're working with the like for the like future projects, and you have like huge data, then you should have to like generate this data in small kind of step, and and then develop the model for the like smaller scales, and then test it, and then after that try to implement such kind of application with the like generative AI, and then you can try to deploy with the like some kind of automation tool as well. You can get the help right for the like how to like do CDI, continuous integrations and continuous deployments with the help of generative AI. But it's not might be effective in the like in the real time process, but it it should be like good enough for the like starting or intermediate to have some kind of knowledge, and uh, based on the like your application and what project you are doing for the like future investments. So yeah, these are the things like you can do with the like generative AI. And if you're like working for the like data science and so other kind of stuff with this like AI mechanism, so you can do it easily. But so you have to like gather some kind of information apart from like what AI can did. But it's very easy to get the like your code or whatever the work you are doing. It will be very helpful for like the before that like what the programmer done, they are going to the like simply for the Google, and so if they had any error or anything in the like in their applications, so they are searching like a couple of websites, and then after that they are they're getting to know like that, yeah, this kind of problem. But if you got the error in, you can put the like in ChatGPT prompt, and it will give them the second like this is the error and this kind of error we are facing. So it sounds like a lot of time also, and but it has some like disadvantages and advantages also. But if you know like right things and right way to proper community or communicate with this kind of AI, so you can get more benefit and more things, and you can increase your knowledge and your application productivity. And if you're working with like formative data as well, so you can get more data and more insight if you're if you wanted to like learn this kind of GenAI things. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So,
Okay, thank you. So we'll have the next speaker up. Urs Mubarak, researcher from the University of Brighton.
Hello, absolutely. Just make everyone's acquaintance. Let me quickly share my screen. Oops, I may need to restart my Zoom. Yeah, I'll rejoin the call just a moment. Okay, I am back. Let me send a request to share the screen. Can you see my screen? Sarah? Perfect. Okay, so hello. I'm Avis Mubarak. I'm a PhD student at the University of Brighton. So I am researching large language models and determinism in particular. Currently calling you from sunny Germany. I don't know if you can see that behind me, but an absolutely beautiful view. Yeah, thanks to Helen for inviting me to this. Really excited to be talking about this. And yeah, the title of my talk is going to be Moving Beyond the Carriage. Now, the first slide will make apparent what I mean by that. There's a new thing that's going on in research at the moment in implementation where we're talking about horseless carriages. So the idea stems back from when the automobile was initially invented. Well, when you invent the engine and you slap it on a carriage, what do you think about? Well, you've replaced the horse with a new type of engine. People can only understand things through the framework that they have at a given moment. So right in the beginning, cars were being designed to look exactly like carriages, despite some things not making sense. You'll see in the image on the left-hand side here that the seats are really high up. In the olden days, you would be looking over the horses at the road. Once you have an engine, that doesn't make sense. But because we still have those old-fashioned frameworks, we continue thinking like that, and we continue building our seats higher. That's how it's done. On the right-hand side, you'll see a more modern car, something we'll all recognize as a car and agree is a car. The idea is essentially that you need modern frameworks to develop further once a new technology comes in. Once you have a new engine, like AI is an engine that's replacing our cognitive functions. You need to adapt your frameworks. And in the case of this discussion, you need to adapt your approach to data science to figure out exactly how to incorporate this new thing into your work. In this talk, I'm going to start by talking about the classic approaches, I'm going to call it. So what's currently going on and how we're currently using large language models. And then I'm going to throw some ideas out about how this might be adapted in the future, how we might go towards developing a car almost. And then I'm going to ask some open questions and pass on the torch. So let's begin. Oh, sorry, I have one more slide before we get to that. This entire talk is inspired by a blog post, which I've put a link for over here if anyone is interested, by Kumen, where he uses the case study of emails and the distinction between writing emails using large language models and designing a tool that groups emails using large language models. So the carriage approach might be telling your large language model, please write me an email X, Y, Z. Now, I'm sure most of us have tried this, and a lot of us will agree. It's not actually a great approach. A lot of the time, it's faster to write your own email than it is to command a large language model to do the same. And yet, the likes of Gmail often roll out these features. They're easy to make, easy to do, and they don't really showcase the power that large language models provide very well. Instead, some email clients are now starting to use large language models to actually read the emails, to group them, to label them. This is for work, this is for private, this is for personal. Oh, this is trying to schedule something. Let me check if the calendar's free, etc. Now that's a beautiful approach. And it's an approach that uses an entirely different framework, an entirely different approach to how we treat email in the past. And it requires a certain kind of divergent thinking that breaks free from ideas. So with that in mind, let's move onwards to looking at the current approaches to data science. So 3 different points. I'll just talk about each of these. Problem definition and domain understanding. So what does that mean? It's understanding the problem that you're trying to analyze. It's the creation of hypotheses. It's essentially the step before you start doing your experimentation. Now, large language models are amazing at document summaries, right? You can feed them a massive amount of data and do for their architecture. They can give you the key points. They can give you all the nuance without taking away too much. We go to literature reviews these days. Many of you have used Google's deep research tool. It's able to use the internet to do its own little Googling and to find citations. And then based on that citation, it decides what else it needs to research. And I've had it before where it's used something like half an hour of thinking time to come back with an absolutely massive multi-page analysis of the question I proposed to. That's honestly better than a lot of humans can do. I know it's certainly better than what I can do because well, it's AI, right? And it's really good. It's really good for brainstorming as well. So if you've ever had the chance, if you absolutely just spam it full of text and you just write a load of things and you just put your mind out, it'll summarize things and it'll put things in a really nice order and it'll give you ideas. And those ideas will create more ideas in your mind, back and forth. Really useful for brainstorming. For data acquisition and preparation, really useful. Code generation is an entire thing now. As far as I'm aware, most people know Python these days to some degree. And if not, they should be learning it. Python's beautiful. But if you use AI for Python, it can do a lot of things, a very, very large number of things, and things that we do quite often. If you have a function, it can generate tests for them. If you have tests already, it can generate the function. It just makes coding a lot easier. It makes coding a lot faster. SQL query generation and bash scripts now is something I use absolutely all the time because who can remember the nuances of SQL, right? Well, I can, of course. If you put in a request in natural language format, it can give you the exact query you want. And regex at the end is an even better example because regex is very difficult to get your head around. But AI can do so very easily using large language, using natural language, sorry. Synthetic data is another one that the previous speaker was kind enough to go into detail for. So I won't be going into detail about it, but as has been stated, large language models are very good at generating synthetic data and at using synthetic data. And EDA, exploratory data analysis and feature engineering. Well, by nature, AI is very good at automation and it's very good at suggestions. I would take this one with a grain of salt. As good as it is at these kinds of things, we just don't have the tooling for these to be super accessible. Of course, we can use Copilot, you can use other tools, but they're not quite at the level of document summaries, they're not quite at the level of data acquisition and preparation. Well, all of these are a carrot approach. For most of these things over here, you can actually replace the AI with a very, very good assistant or a very, very good intern. And the result is probably going to be the same. So walking through document summaries, free brainstorming, a very good assistant will do those things for you. Code generation, you find someone else writing code for you. SQL query generation, you talk to an expert in SQL, etc. These are all carriage approaches to things because we're essentially replacing the horse with a very, very, very powerful engine, but the carriage is still the same carriage. So on the next time, let's think about some ways this might change, how we might change the carriage itself. So AI is a true research partner and hypothesis generator. On the surface, this sounds like an even better assistant, but in reality, AI has the potential to be far better than any human at approaching data. And I say possibility because this isn't the case at the moment. But by the nature of the construction of AI and generative AI and large language models are like, there is potential for them to understand data much more deeply, much more widely, and to have the autonomy to carry out experiments much faster than a human can. That is, I can decide to do an experiment, I can create an experiment, I can run the experiment, while we're still stuck on the hypothesis generation phase. So what would this look like? Well, it might look like a tool where you simply give it your data or give it access to your data or give it access to your database and tell it roughly what you want at the end. The exact hypotheses, the exact construction of the experiments will be done autonomously. Can this be done by humans? Well, maybe if you use a consultancy team, that's really quite good. But really, even they wouldn't have the same quality of insights that AI gives potential to, because at the end of the day, they're still humans. One person can only understand so many things, we can only keep so many things up here. The computer, that's not a limitation. The second one I said is hyperdynamic and adaptive systems modeling. Sounds a bit buzzwordy again. What that means is a tool that uses live data. And using live data, if any of you have worked with it, is an entirely different beast to using data you already have in the computer. Data changes constantly. It means that you can't make predictions about data that's coming up. I mean, once there's Jane Street, it doesn't even need to be said how difficult this kind of stuff is. Again, AI could be very useful because this is very likely to simply be a tool that you download, set up, to be used to web servers, and that give you insights as you need them. You can ask you questions, and it will give you answers and generate experiments, generate synthetic data for the future, etc. Much faster than a human. Even a consultancy team can match the speed. You've got live data coming in, you can simply ask what might happen if X, Y, and Z. Consultancy team will take some time to do so. An AI team, not so much. Hypothetically. Finally, I'll say conversational data interaction and discovery. This is quite similar to the interface that we're using with ChatGPT at the moment. You'll notice a lot when we are talking about data science, when we're talking about code generation. For some reason, a lot of the time we stop focusing on conversational interfaces as much as we did before. I personally am not a huge fan of multimodal data. I think that text-based is going to be the most important thing because we think in text. If that's true, then we'll find out soon enough. But I think that reasoning with text is the future, and that's the approach that we should be taking. And I think conversational interfaces are going to be status quo almost. So these are just some ideas, but you'll notice that it's very hard to think outside of the frameworks that we have. What did it take for the first person to really decide that we don't need a carriage anymore and we need to move on to the car? Well, that's some real divergent thinking. It takes insight, it takes a light bulb moment. And these really aren't necessarily light bulb moments. They're working on things that we already understand. But it's very important to be aware of this. It's very important to be aware that it will take a light bulb to entirely change our approach to AI and our approach to using AI and data science to make everything a little bit more efficient, to make everything a little bit more straightforward. I'll spend a few slides talking about the nitty-gritty of things. Well, let's first talk about why we're still building these sorts of problems, why we're still stuck in the frameworks. As I just mentioned, very hard to move onwards, but that's not the only reason. Building interfaces or something like ChatGPT is very low-hanging fruit, and it provides very quick ROI. Example I gave earlier about Gmail using a conversational Gemini interface for writing an email. That's a very straightforward thing to do. It's a very safe thing to do, and it doesn't actually require a lot of effort on their part. However, it looks pretty damn good. It looks like you have access to really cutting-edge AI, and it just really drives up value for the company and for the product. Technical maturity and reliability is another one. Now, in this presentation, I haven't so far gone into the reliability issues of AI. As we all know, hallucinations are a major issue. And again, the last speaker was kind enough to go into some of the details about the issues with ethics and data reliability. If you're running a multi-billion-dollar company, you can't be relying on AI with the same as currently in. It misses things, it hallucinates, it makes things up. It has many confirmation biases and other biases, and there's entirely the question about the degree to which it can actually find insights and to which it's parroting on that, which is already seen. If it is completely novel data, it can even know if it's entirely novel data, etc., etc. There's still questions, and thus the technical maturity is still quite low. We're still learning what it can do. We're still learning how to treat it, etc. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but existing infrastructure and workflows is very important. Most of us here aren't necessarily going to be building these tools that we're going to be using. That is, if I'm carrying out some data science experiments on any of my own data, I'm not necessarily going to be building the tools with which I'm going to be doing experiments. As an analogy, someone in biology classes is building the scaffolds. We kind of rely on other people to build this infrastructure for us unless we're on the other side, of course, in which case we rely on people to use our infrastructure. It's quite rare to have a vertically integrated setup where you're creating your tools, all of your tooling from scratch, and you're also creating the AI, you're also doing your data analysis, etc. And these workflows don't exist yet. Who can teach us the workflows with which to use generative AI and data science if everyone is currently still stuck in the old framework? It's going to require teaching and then teaching and then teaching for these ideas to propagate, like the ideas I'm talking about right now. And technological adaptation is still low. This isn't a status quo. A lot of the time you're working in a team, unless everyone on the team is on the same page, you don't really want to be using this kind of thing. For now, the human is still the most important element, and AI is being used to enhance it. That's a good thing. Ethically, that's a great thing. But as I say, it's very important to be aware that AI is an engine, and more we're going to be adapting our frameworks to build ourselves around the engine instead of just using the engine as an add-on for a character. Let's talk about ethics and responsibility very briefly because this is very important, but it's been said a lot. Bias amplification is a huge issue. If we're dealing with anything sensitive at all, medical stuff, for example, anything that requires any understanding of discrimination, AI will showcase the biases of the data set on which it's been trained. That's something to be very aware of. Data privacy is huge. Data privacy will always be very important. It's both important to be aware that AI, as it's often trained, large language models often trained on private data. It's also important to know that it's very easy to accidentally send your private data to the companies that are running these AI models. It's not only locally hosted, and then you can accidentally leak something, which is quite awful and not something you want to do. And over-reliance is seemingly a new issue and something people are increasingly aware of. Back in the oil and pre-LLM days, everyone that was learning how to program had to do so from scratch. If you didn't know how to program something, you had to ask someone, maybe on Stack Overflow, maybe somewhere else. And if no one could answer, then honestly, you had to shrug and move on until you were good enough at programming to come back to that issue and try it again. Now that you can ask large language models, people aren't learning in the same way. And people aren't getting that same deep understanding of Python, aren't getting that deep understanding of how the computer works, because it's very easy to become over-reliant on large language models. Some people are becoming more aware of this. It's been a couple of years now, where some people have been using AI for a couple of years for programming and are finding that when they don't have access to this AI, when the ChatGPT servers go down, they're rusty. And it's quite hard to do things the same way like you once did. You lose that muscle memory. Comes back, of course. But it's very important to be aware that as data scientists, we should all have an understanding of the tools that we're using and an understanding of the processes that we're using, and not just rely on AI with the state that it's currently in. And in those early days, if your engine broke down, you'd have to use a horse. Eventually, when everything was good enough, you can rely on cars. Eventually, we have to rely on AI, I'm sure. And the idea of programming without AI will be as weird as being a photo editor without Photoshop. Just doesn't exist anymore. And again, important to be aware of and know that this change will come. We're not here yet, but it very likely will. And the big question is, what can we all as individual data scientists do about it? So I've said quite a lot of things about it being very important to be aware of it. How can you incorporate this into your work? If you're working as a data scientist, how can you incorporate this into your training if you're still training as a data scientist? Well, it depends on every individual and their approach to these things. It depends on your understanding of AI, and it depends on what exactly you want to be doing with it. If I was in a position where I was learning something for fun, I was just learning how to program for fun, I probably wouldn't touch AI, to be quite frank. But if I was in a position where I was working with this, absolutely I would. It's a brand new type of engine. It's a complete replacement for the horse. It's a complete replacement for simply doing things on your own. And it's vital to be more efficient in your workplace. I think as individuals, everyone needs to really consider exactly what they can utilize this new technology for, and the most ethical way for them to do so, and the most productive way for them to do so in the long term, because in the short term, it can be very easy to outsource everything to AI. What's most important for them in the long term is the big question. And I think there is a lot of possibility. And if any of the people listening to us are in a position where they're developing infrastructure or developing methodologies, I think it's very important to be aware of our need for brand new frameworks, our need for moving beyond what we're currently doing and having entirely different visions towards these things. Approaching the end of what I have to talk about. Any questions? I've put on the slide here. If anyone has any questions here, I'm happy to answer them. But if not, then that will be me done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you to both speakers. Thank you.
All right.
Trial.
All right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I have a question. I would just like to ask my question quickly. So I do not know who the host is going to direct it to. The first question is, how is generative AI fundamentally changing the way data science teams operate?
Sorry, is this a question for the first speaker or for me? I didn't quite capture. Okay, in that case, I'll answer this from my own perspective, and I think it depends a lot on which team you're a part of. So, for example, as a research team, we are using generative AI constantly, almost to replace our workflow at times, because not everyone on our research team is aware of data science techniques on a deep level. So this has entirely enabled us to use data science without necessarily having to go through the training for these things, but to use it in a very positive manner. So, for example, we recently did a number of physics-esque tests with a robotic system, and to analyze the data, there's a lot of SQL. We used similar things, and most of the queries were generated by AI. For other teams that are more professional, I can't necessarily talk on their part, but I would imagine a more subtle usage of AI, where, of course, the individuals are already experts from the get-go, and they will be using this, well, as I say, a little bit more subtly than to the I hope that answers the question from my perspective.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much. Yeah, Rushi, please, you want to add anything to it?
Hello.
Oh, thank you. I think that really answers my question. Yeah, but then I have one more question. So I think they're kind of linked. We're looking at the role of Gen AI, right, in data science, and yeah, just like our external speaker has rightly mentioned, not everybody is very familiar with the data science tools to use, right? So I would want to ask the follow-up question: is generative AI, right, making the traditional statistical and ML techniques obsolete? Like, does it make traditional statistical methods as well as ML techniques obsolete?
I can answer this again from my perspective. I strongly don't think it will make the traditional techniques obsolete at all, because without getting too technical about how large language models and generative AI work, on the inside, they are mostly glorified autocomplete, and they're very good at thinking, but they're not very good at analyzing data. When we use generative AI to analyze data, the big use case is that they are able to then use other techniques to analyze the data. And even then, the large language model is using the traditional data science techniques like machine learning, like, well, everything that you named earlier to analyze the data. So I think that not only are those not obsolete, but we will very likely see significant advances if we get to the stage where large language model type AI is able to replace humans, because, as I say, there's a need for these techniques.
Okay, so talking about replacing humans, well, do we really buy the idea? You know, there's this kind of trend, right, that actually started initially where people thought that AI has actually come to replace humans. Okay, in a way, that's already happening, right? So, do we think that more of the advancements we are getting in AI are of more advantage than disadvantage when it comes to replacing humans?
I think it's a big disadvantage personally. So I am very concerned about the potential for AI to replace humans. I don't think that's a good thing. And I think that we should be aware of this as a thing and consider our place in the world almost. There are certain jobs like software engineering and writing where we are seeing genuine effects, as some research indicates. Other research indicates jobs haven't been affected. Truth is, it's very hard to make these predictions about will we see AI replacing humans. Will we see AI replacing humans? Maybe, maybe not. Ethically, I would still say that's quite a negative if we are seeing humans getting replaced straight after.
All right, yeah, fair enough. Thank you. Okay, so please, the meetup is not just for me alone, right? This is an opportunity for us to ask questions. If you can't speak, I think you can type, right? So all of that is allowed. Helen, please over to you. Okay, yeah, so oh, okay, that's fine. So yeah, do we have questions? Any other person? Does any other person have questions? So it seems I'm the only person having fun here and gaining knowledge. So let me ask one last question, right? One last question. I think I'll be directing this question out to our internal speaker, Rishi. He hasn't really answered so much of the questions. So my question now is, are there use cases, right, that show the most promise of Gen AI unlocking new value from existing data sets? Right. So I believe you spoke about data set a lot and how we could make use of the Gen AI tools we have. So are there any promise cases where we see that Gen AI actually unlocked new values for existing data sets?
No, actually, you can't work on you can't change the data, but if you have the data and you want to work on that, and so basically you can add the data, and based on data you can uh, mm, in based on the data for the generator you can create the code, or you want to prepare the EDA or some kind of operation, you can do that. Like previously, I want to do some mental kind of some assessment for the multiple data. So what I did, I added all kind of data, what I have data, and the based on that, he just gives me code and all these things, and for the how can I access this kind of data, but he can generate, but this data based around the what are the previous data set he has. So not can't completely change or what are the existing data we have.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you. So even if let's say we want to digress a bit, okay, just a little bit. Gen AI is actually making waves in the health sector, right? So do you have any idea of any promising cases where Gen AI went and came in and revolutionized the existing data sets we already have?
What?
Yeah, I'm saying that Gen AI is making a lot of waves also in the health sector, right?
Yeah.
So I'm asking, are there any use cases where we can talk about that Gen AI actually improved these data sets?
Yeah, actually, we don't have, but what generator is, like whatever the data we have put to the generative AI, he can learn according to that, and he store the data in the memory. So might be he will be used for some of the for the future learning things. So but he can't use actual data, whatever data we are using from based on the existing data. He just doing some or some kind of mixing data, and he use the some dummy data, like if you work on that. But he can't replace what are the actual data we have. And it's the original data. You can't replace it with the ChatGPT. You use the data, but it's not not kind of based on the validations. I mean, it's just uh, uh just some dummy data kind of things you can provide.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think it's only improved. It doesn't really, let's say, it doesn't really revolutionize the entire data set, but it only improves, gives us ready tools, right, to
Yeah.
make do with what we already have existing. Right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm done asking questions, right? I'm sorry for
Okay.
asking so many questions.
I have a question. Can I
Okay.
ask?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. For anyone to answer. So my question is, for data scientists that are looking to upskill or incorporate Gen AI into their work. So what are some key areas they should focus on learning?
Basically, first of all, if you're for the data science, you have to know one of the language like Python. If I want to go to Python or R, either. And you have to know basic things regarding to the EDA, like data processing, all the stuff. And some of the SQL, suppose if you're doing the some display kind of things with the help of visualization. So there are some kind of tool as well for the processing data, like SpicePark. But for if you're the beginner, then I suggest that you can go to the Python libraries, and some of the EML libraries as well, regression classifications. And so you have to some basic kind of understanding about the machine learning things as well. And these are the enough for the basic. And if you want to upskill, so you can just go to the ChatGPT, create some of the simple application, some prediction application. With the help of you can create the applications and host it with some free kind of host, so you can get the full idea, from starting building to deployment, up to deployments. And you can type the prompt in generative AI, how can I intermediate for the data science and some kind of stuff. He used couple of steps, how can you can upskill yourself. So these are things you can do with that. And I say try to create the build the application as much as you can, so you can get the knowledge instead of the chat GPT. You can try it yourself, and wherever you need you wherever stuck, you can just help get the help with the chat GPT or any other tool. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Please, am I audible?
Yes, you are
Yes,
audible.
yes.
Okay, so I just want to ask, now generative AI is here, and like the second speaker said, it's a sort of engine, right? That I feel like almost everybody is adopting presently. But I want to ask, so putting cybersecurity in perspective and knowing that as data scientists you will be working with raw data from industry giants, big companies, and all that. Do you advise, or is it safe to use generative AI in direct contact with these data sets for whatever it is we are trying to achieve?
So like if suppose we have the data set, you can't like direct access with that. But like for the generative AI, it's already trained with like certain kind of data sets. So we have it has like some few different steps with the like uh, maybe like much kind of data set, but it can't like directly connect with the like whatever the data you have existing. It can't, but he can make some kind of prediction according to that and gives the result. But the this kind of tool can't connect like directly to the data set. But if is it publicly, that it might be like already pretended in this kind of generative tool. But if it's like private and all these things, this kind of tool can't like go inside that and like get the like what are the inside in data set. But he just gives the overview, like what kind of data set and what things you can do with that. Like this kind of things he can give to you. But he can't do like this ethical kind of things to like he can't like uh, mm, make like this kind of validations. So like if it's data is the private.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So please, do we have more questions? Anybody? Does anybody have any other questions? Okay. So we can just simply say no questions, right? If we do not have questions. Any question, please? So I assume that's no question, right? Yeah. So I'll be saying thank you so much, Mubarak, right? Thank you so much, Yoshikesh. And I hope everyone has gotten one or two insights about the role of GenAI, all right, in data science. So for persons, I know I've seen one person that is a non-technical person here. We can actually join the technical team. I don't think that's a challenge. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Helen, for hosting this meetup. We've learned a lot, and yeah, we hope to apply all that we have learned. So we're looking forward to that. For the courage, the hustlers' courage, our external speaker used as an illustration. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So come to
Thank
the
you very
end of
much.
today's
Thank you.
meetup. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, bye, everyone. Thank you.